On several occasions, we've made videos about those spooky moments when games became weirdly self-aware, freaking you out by getting all meta. We thought that would be an end to it, but if that's the case, why am I still getting freaked out on the regular by games not afraid to subtly, masterfully poke holes in the fourth wall, in ways we never saw coming? Moments where, against all odds, the game seems to suddenly become eerily aware of the presence of you, the player. Weird! Like how YouTube knows you're watching this on a boat. Bethany? God, I hope that worked on someone. Anyway, beware spoilers for the following games. Bethany.
You don't expect an existential crisis with a game as lovely as Animal Crossing New Horizons. I mean, unless you go to the bit in the menus where it tells you how many hours you've played. Oh no, my time on Earth. And really, this isn't the kind of game where you expect freaky fourth wall breaks either, seeing as New Horizons is relentlessly devoted to creating a cozy atmosphere of good island vibes. Somewhere you can live, work and decorate at a gentle pace alongside a cute cast of animal pals. But the watertight fiction of New Horizons can indeed spring a leak, for players lucky enough, or perhaps that should be unlucky enough, to catch one of their villagers in the middle of a Truman Show caliber reality crisis, like dear sweet Cole here. Wow, Cole, that story really took a left turn at the end there. It's not clear who started the rumour among the villagers that they really are little more than bit players in someone else's game, but you can hear this dose of existential terror from any villager with the personality type lazy. Which doesn't narrow it down, frankly. You see anyone else picking up tree branches around here? Yeah, you're f***ing welcome, Diana.
Need the juice.
It's easy to forget that there was a time when Call of Duty wasn't Battle Royale plus World War II campaign plus multiplayer in space or whatever. It was a simple warfare simulator with zombies. Said zombies mode first arrived in 2008's Call of Duty World at War, but really hit its stride in 2010's Call of Duty Black Ops, or Blops if you will. This mode, if you're not familiar, involves defending yourself against hordes of ravening undead by gunning down said zombies, unlocking new areas and weapons, and indulging in the most unrealistically easy DIY I've ever seen on screen. Zombies mode has a fairly tenuous grasp on reality though. After all, this is a game in which one level sees you playing as President John F. Kennedy, mowing down scores of the living dead with an SMG.
Gentlemen, lock and load.
I know what you're thinking. With his bad back? Highly unrealistic. It still comes as a surprise though when the game can, if you're lucky, get weirdly meta in Black Ops First Zombies map. Called Kino der Toten, you play as one Tank Dempsey, trapped in a movie theatre full of Nazi zombies.
Not a chance in hell, you maggot addicts!
As you just heard, Dempsey will occasionally bark commentary on his terrible situation. You know, like almost every playable game character ever. What you probably wouldn't expect, however, and what would likely make you jump out of your skin if you're fortunate enough to hear it, is Dempsey addressing you, the player, directly if you run low on ammo.
Hey, player! Drop the chips and get me some ammo!
How did he know? Is it because I'm always eating chips?
It's not fair to put things in your game that will weird out the player if that game already features tingle. That should be a rule. But nobody told Nintendo, who made a game that not only has a prominent role for tingle, but also features one particularly trippy example of a game breaking the fourth wall. This instance of the game going meta is pretty subtle to the extent that this isn't so much Wind Waker breaking the fourth wall as it is Wind Waker poking a small hole in the fourth wall, then having Link peer at you through it with his giant cel-shaded cartoon eyes. Plus, this blink and you'll miss it moment is even more obscure because it's buried in a part of the game that many players could skip entirely, if they're smart. Visitors to Outset Island have the opportunity to spar with Orca, the standard RPG old bloke who tutorializes you in sword fighting at the start of the game. At any point, you can go back home and smack the stuffing out of Orca, just to drive home the point that you, the hero of legend, to whom the very wind submits, are the greatest fighter of the age, and that he is a dumb old hermit weirdo. Also, he gives you money if you hit him enough, which, the more we think about it, the more this seems like a mugging. Orca gives you better rewards the more hits you land before he himself is able to whack you 3 times. This is a significant challenge, with the best reward being a piece of heart, which you get for landing 500 hits. Continue beating Orca senseless after that point, and he'll eventually lose count at a whopping 1,000 hits and stop the fight, but not before telling you this. And why would your left index finger be numb? Because all this long time you've been holding down the GameCube or Wii U's left trigger button to stay locked onto Orca is why, which means Orca knows you're playing a game. Spooky. Though what Orca doesn't know, apparently, is that you can switch targeting to stay locked on with a single press. Come on Orca, read the dang menus! We were right to beat you senseless.
On a previous one of these lists, we talked about a bit in The Legend of Zelda: The Phantom Hourglass, where you had to snap shut your Nintendo DS to stamp a location onto your map. Pretty meta. Cute? Well, here's a Nintendo DS puzzle that makes Zelda look like a game for kids.
I mean, it is a game for kids.
No, it's not. If it is, then how come I like it so much then? Step forward, another code to Memories, also known in the US as Trace Memory, an early Nintendo DS title that saw you play as a girl called Ashley searching for her missing father, pointing and indeed clicking your way to the truth on the ominously named Blood Edward Island. The game was reasonably well received by critics, who praised its story and visuals, but weren't satisfied with its relatively short length for an adventure game. But that's not a problem you will face if, like so many others, you spend approximately 10,000 hours stuck on the game's most infamous puzzle. Said puzzle arrives when Ashley conducts a search of one of Henry Edwards' study. Henry was presumably quite a lonely chap, because on his coffee table he has a framed photo that shows no family or friends, just a series of weird symbols, which is just barely a step up from keeping the stock image of a Labrador that came with the frame. These symbols are in fact a clue that points to the location of a vital key, but how to solve the puzzle left another code players in 2005 tearing their Vote for Pedro t-shirts apart in frustration, or hurrying to forums to find the solution to a puzzle that is as inscrutable as it is weirdly meta. Because the answer is found not by exploring Henry's office, but the console itself. You have to tilt the DS screen down a little until its image is reflected in the bottom screen. Do this, and when you strike the right angle, you'll see the key superimposed inside the book, alongside the code F3. Head to the bookcase in the same room and inspect the large book in section F3, and voila! The key is yours. You're welcome, everyone on Game FAQ 17 years ago.
Oh, look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables. The dirty mongrel can have this back, there, and tell him not to do it again.
Here at Outside Xtra, we've never been afraid to speak the truth, no matter how controversial or shocking that truth may be. And we think dogs are good. Don't at me. And few dogs are better than Dog, the dog called Dog in Dog in Age Origins, an RPG about this dog and his gang of human friends who follow him around and occasionally comment negatively on his smell.
That may be so, but all the same, I would like your permission to bathe him.
Dog, who is the faithful companion to the Warden character in Dragon Age, has qualities other than alienating humans with his smell. He can also fight like hell, and when not occupied tearing out throats, can be sent to dig up treasures. He's covered in blood and he just dug up some old soiled pants. I think maybe we should bathe him. Back to the digging up of old junk though. Buried deep within Dragon Age Origins, and also deep within the earth in Dragon Age Origins, is one treasure likely to blow the mind of you, the player. A codex entry dog has a random chance of retrieving called a very chewed and moist book. The book is a diary that contains a few inscrutable ramblings, passing mention of a legendary sword, and most unnerving, Day 42. I begin to suspect that we are being manipulated, as if by some unseen hand far above us. Always I heard the sound of clicking. Click, 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 click. An extremely self-aware note, clearly designed to give anyone playing Dragon Age Origins on PC a shiver up the spine. Weird. We're playing on Xbox though, so I don't know what click-clicking they're referring to. Oh wait, my hand bones after that Zelda fight.
The X-Men franchise is full of things that boggle the mind, like the almost limitless power of Jean Grey, or the fact that they cast Kelsey Grammer to play Beast that one time. But even Kelsey Grammer playing Beast, which we remind you he did, has nothing on the mind-boggling nature of one particular level in the X-Men 1993 action platformer for the Sega Genesis. That level is Mojo's Future Crunch, a cyber dystopia ruled by X-Men villain Mojo, who, despite being an evil alien who lives inside a cybernetic spider suit, has more in common with us than you might think. For instance, just like you or I, he is weak to being punched hard over and over in the bum. Mojo is nominally the boss of this level, but presents nothing like the challenge that faces players shortly after, when they reach the end of the stage and find a floating screen of some kind and nothing else. Destroying the screen appears to do nothing but make Professor X's face appear on the nearby TVs. Eventually, time runs out, prompting an on-screen warning, "Reset the computer now." But with no computer in sight, it's not remotely clear how to progress. Well, friend, you could spend your whole life replaying this level over and over, trying to root out the computer that needs resetting, but you won't find it. Because the computer that needs resetting is your actual Sega Genesis. That's right, tap the button on the console at this point in the game to perform a soft reset, and your screen will fill with Matrix-style code. Before a cutscene plays, or what used to pass for a cutscene in 1993, and the game resumes. Extremely meta, but ultimately a deceptively simple solution to the puzzle. Unless, of course, you hold down the reset button for a fraction of a second too long, making the console register a hard reset instead of a soft one, deleting your progress and sending you back to the start screen. Brutal and self-aware. Nice, X-Men. It makes you wonder what other games would deploy so devious a method of puzzle solving, doesn't it? Oh, I'm not Googling it. I'm looking up deleted Kelsey Grammer Beast scenes. And will be for some time. Seems like they deleted a lot.
Games are complicated, so we use helpful jargon to help make sense of them, like looter shooter, Easter egg, camping, nerf, roguelike, roguelite, and cheese. Otherwise, video games simply wouldn't make sense. But what happens when a game itself somehow becomes aware of the terminology that we use to describe and categorise our favourite hobby? The game Psychonauts is what happens.
Top of the morning to you, ma'am.
And good day to you, Officer Lungfish.
Specifically, a boss fight in the game's Lungfishopolis stage, a level that sees game protagonist Rasputin stomping angrily around said metropolis in gigantic form, crushing buildings and terrifying the locals like a Godzilla in goggles. Which, does anyone else feel the need to draw that? Nah, me either. The defender of this town is Kochamara, a similarly massive dude intent on stopping you, and like any video game boss, he has a roster of attacks you need to deal with. The only difference being, Kochamara will sometimes yell out the type of generic boss attack he's about to do.
Hard to avoid! Area attack!
Uh-oh, clearly someone told Kochamara about AoE, or maybe he just plays a lot of World of Warcraft. Maybe some Dark Souls too, seeing as he knows just as well as you do about a boss's most hated technique, a combo that never seems to end.
Overly intricate combination!
Kochamara does double duty here, as he's both a parody of generic video game boss battles and Japanese tokusatsu films and TV shows like Ultraman.
Deadly triangle beam!
Or of course Godzilla. There. What? His atomic breath weapon was hurting his eyes.
Hard to avoid! Area attack!
So those were yet more times that games got weirdly meta. Isn't that right, Bethany? Yeah, Bethany. I know all about the boat trip. Why are you even going on a boat trip? You get seasick all the time. And oh my goodness, you can't even swim? What's the point? What? That's the worst idea. Anyway, what is a good idea is if you hit that like button. See, we're self-aware. We know what's happening here. We see all those videos on the side. You shouldn't watch those. You should only watch our videos. And you should like...
Unless those ones are also our videos.
Unless there are videos as well. Only watch
then.
ours. Yeah, and you should click that like button and you should hit that subscribe orb. Ooh, and check these videos out over there. See, we know what this is. We know.